1972 Dodge D-Series. Dodge's bold step into the modern truck era. Ever wondered what it was like to drive a truck built in the golden age of American muscle? Then buckle up, because we're about to roll back the clock to 1972, a time when trucks were tough, styling was bold, and engines roared like thunder across open highways. At the center of that world stood the Dodge D-Series pickup, a no-nonsense workhorse with a growing sense of swagger. The 1972 model wasn't just another truck in Dodge's lineup, it was a quiet revolution. It bridged the gap between bare-bones utility and the modern, more driver-friendly pickup that was beginning to emerge. And today, it stands as a symbol of everything that made that era iconic: grit, simplicity, and undeniable American muscle. The early 70s were an interesting time for the American auto industry. Performance was king, and V8s still ruled the roads. But the winds of change were beginning to blow. The first whispers of safety regulations, emission standards, and the energy crisis were just over the horizon. Yet in 1972, there was still a purity to trucks that hadn't yet been diluted. They were built with purpose, engineered to endure, and the Dodge D-Series delivered on every front. While Ford and Chevy were dominating the sales charts, Dodge was crafting something different, something built not just to follow trends, but to stand apart. That year's D-Series pickup carried a quiet confidence, a no-frills approach to rugged reliability wrapped in steel, sweat, and style. At first glance, the 1972 Dodge D-Series looks every bit the classic pickup: squared-off edges, bold grille, and a stance that says, "Let's get to work." But a closer look reveals the careful thought Dodge put into evolving the platform. This wasn't a radical redesign, it was an evolution. The D-Series had been around since the early 60s, but by 72, it had matured into a refined version of its former self. The body lines were cleaner, the stance more aggressive, the overall presence more composed. You could get it in a variety of configurations: short bed, long bed, step side, fleet side, with trims like custom and adventure adding options that made it as comfortable for cruising as it was for hauling. And the engines, oh, the engines. The base models came with a slant 6, a bulletproof power plant known for its longevity. But the real fun came with the optional V8s. From the 318 to the legendary 440 Magnum, these weren't just powertrains, they were statements. The 440 in particular gave the D-Series the kind of grunt normally reserved for Dodge's muscle cars, and it turned the humble pickup into a street bruiser when properly equipped. There's a reason gearheads still chase those models down today: the sound, the torque, the raw thrill of stomping the gas and feeling a truck leap forward like it was shot out of a cannon. But the D-Series wasn't all about brute force. Dodge was also quietly upgrading comfort and usability. Inside, the cabins were becoming more refined, with improved seating, better dash layouts, and more thoughtful ergonomics. It was still a working man's truck, but it didn't punish you for spending hours behind the wheel. For the first time, buyers could opt for amenities that were once reserved for passenger cars: padded dashboards, upgraded sound systems, even air conditioning. It was subtle, but it was a sign of things to come. Dodge was beginning to understand that trucks were no longer just tools. They were companions, extensions of their drivers, and sometimes even family members. What made the 1972 D-Series so special, though, wasn't just the hardware. It was the timing. This truck was a product of a uniquely American moment. It came of age in a country that was transitioning from wide-open optimism to a more complex reality. The D-Series captured that moment with quiet strength. It was still proud, still powerful, still unafraid of a hard day's work. But it was also adaptable, ready to face a future where trucks would be expected to do more than just carry a load. In that sense, the 72 model stands as a pivotal chapter in the history of pickups. It was a truck that honored its past but wasn't afraid of the road ahead. And let's not forget the culture that surrounded it. If you grew up in the 1970s, chances are you saw a D-Series on every job site, parked on every farm, or rolling through town with a bed full of tools and a dog in the passenger seat. It was a familiar sight, a symbol of reliability and American craftsmanship. These trucks became part of the background of everyday life, and for many, they still represent the golden age of blue-collar pride. They were the unsung heroes, the silent partners in building, farming, and hauling America forward. What's truly remarkable is how the D-Series has endured in the hearts of enthusiasts. In an age where trucks are more luxury vehicle than work rig, the simplicity and authenticity of the 1972 Dodge D-Series feels refreshing. It's honest, unapologetic. And when you see one today, restored or original, rumbling down the road, you can't help but admire the legacy it carries. The square body, the chrome badges, the roar of an uncorked V8, it's all a reminder that sometimes, less is more. Sometimes, the straightforward approach leaves the biggest mark. The 1972 D-Series wasn't the most advanced truck of its time. It didn't have the marketing muscle of Ford or the legacy of Chevrolet. But what it did have was character. It had a backbone of steel and a soul built from decades of Dodge grit. It was the kind of truck you bought when you didn't want flash. You wanted something that would show up every day, take a beating, and keep moving. And yet, for all its toughness, it had a certain elegance, a minimalist beauty that's aged with grace. It's why collectors and restorers still seek them out, bringing these old machines back to life with loving detail and pride. So why does the 1972 Dodge D-Series still matter today? Because it represents a crossroads. A moment when utility met comfort, when performance met refinement. It was the spark that helped light the path to the modern pickup. Trucks today are technological marvels, but they owe a debt to the D-Series, a truck that dared to evolve without losing its identity. It's a reminder that innovation doesn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes, it arrives quietly in the form of a boxy Dodge rolling down a dirt road, engine humming, carrying the tools of a trade and the dreams of its driver. If you're a fan of automotive history, the D-Series is more than just another entry in a spec sheet. It's a chapter in a much larger story, about resilience, progress, and the enduring spirit of American engineering. It's a symbol of when things were built to last, and when style didn't mean sacrificing strength. It's a truck that tells the story just by existing. And for those lucky enough to own or drive one, it's a living connection to a time when the road was wide open and the future was full of horsepower and hope. Stay tuned, because this journey into the 1972 Dodge D-Series is just getting started. We're going deeper into its design, its mechanics, and its cultural impact. Whether you're here for nostalgia, restoration tips, or just the rumble of a classic V8, this ride has something for you. The D-Series is waiting, keys in the ignition, engine idling, ready for another trip through time. The 1972 Dodge D-Series was more than a truck. It was a mechanical statement of American grit and raw purpose. When Dodge introduced this refreshed line of pickups, it wasn't just throwing another vehicle into the competitive ring. It was redefining what a work truck could be. Built to deliver both power and presence, the D-Series of 72 stood tall against its rivals and carved its own legacy as a dependable, durable, and downright cool piece of automotive history. This truck wasn't born for flash. It was bred for function, yet somehow it managed to look good doing it. From the moment it rolled off the production line, the 1972 Dodge D-Series struck a balance between toughness and versatility. The Dodge truck lineup had always leaned into performance and ruggedness, but the 72 model year refined those qualities into something more focused, more enduring. It was available in a wide range of configurations, from the half-ton D100 to the heavy-duty D300, with options for 4x2 and 4x4, short or long bed, and a variety of trim levels. Whether it was for the farmer hauling hay, the contractor hauling gear, or the adventurer hauling dreams across state lines, the D-Series offered a setup for everyone. What really set the 72 D-Series apart was its thoughtful design evolution. It kept the squared-off body lines that had come to define American pickups, but Dodge gave it a modernized face. The grille, a bold horizontal arrangement framed in chrome, gave the truck a confident stance. Large round headlights flanked the center, exuding character and a kind of friendly determination. Chrome bumpers and trim added just the right amount of flair, offering a subtle nod to style without compromising the truck's no-nonsense ethos. And that wide, boxy silhouette? It wasn't just an aesthetic. It was practical, offering a bed that could carry serious loads while projecting the kind of profile that turns heads even today. Inside, the 1972 Dodge D-Series kept things simple but smart. The interior was stripped of frills, but that didn't mean it lacked character. The materials were durable: vinyl bench seats, metal dash components, straightforward instrumentation. It was built for people who had work to do, but that didn't stop Dodge from considering comfort. The controls were intuitively placed, the steering wheel was appropriately beefy, and the cabin had enough space to make long drives manageable. Optional upgrades included padded dashes, floor carpeting, and even air conditioning, luxuries at the time that hinted at the changing expectations of truck buyers. Under the hood, the D-Series was a brute. The base models came with Dodge's reliable 225 cubic inch slant-six engine, an underappreciated legend in its own right. But for those who craved muscle, Dodge offered a lineup of V8s that could hold their own on any job site or drag strip. The 318 and 360 small blocks delivered solid horsepower and torque for daily duties, but the big dogs were the 400 and 440 cubic inch V8s, engines that roared with authority and gave the D-Series an edge few trucks could match. Whether it was towing, hauling, or just flexing at a red light, the D-Series brought power in spades. By the mid-70s, the D-Series had not only established itself as a dependable work truck, but it had also become a part of American culture. You saw them everywhere, on farms, in construction yards, and on the streets of small towns across the country. These trucks symbolized hard work and honest living. And with the rising popularity of recreational driving and off-roading, the D-Series was right there, climbing mountains and cruising deserts alongside Jeeps and Broncos. Its 4x4 capability made it a favorite for those seeking adventure beyond the pavement, and its toughness meant it could take the hits and keep moving forward. The truck even found its way into pop culture. It showed up in movies, television series, and countless print ads, often portrayed as the go-to vehicle for the blue-collar hero. It wasn't just marketing. The D-Series genuinely represented a lifestyle, one that was rugged, dependable, and authentically American. That era's advertisements leaned heavily into the strength and resilience of the Dodge brand, and the D-Series stood front and center. As the years went on, Dodge continued refining the D-Series. The platform received various updates, both mechanical and cosmetic, throughout the 70s and into the early 80s. But by 1981, Dodge transitioned to the new Ram branding, and the D-Series name was officially retired. Still, its DNA lived on. Many of the design cues, mechanical choices, and brand philosophies that were born in the D-Series carried through to the Ram trucks we see today. Even now, more than 50 years later, the 1972 D-Series holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and enthusiasts. Restorers seek them out at auctions and barns, drawn by their classic lines and mechanical simplicity. Custom builders love them for their flexibility and retro appeal. And those who grew up with the D-Series in the driveway remember the smell of the vinyl seats, the sound of the V8 rumble, and the way the world looked from behind that wide steel hood. In today's market, a well-kept 1972 Dodge D-Series can command serious attention. Prices have climbed steadily, especially for models with original V8s, 4x4 capability, and special trims. But beyond value, these trucks offer something even more meaningful, a connection to a different time. A time when trucks were built to be tough first and stylish second. A time when every dent told a story and every engine start was a promise kept. The D-Series is more than a collectible. It's a legacy. It represents the turning point when trucks began evolving from utilitarian machines into personal vehicles that reflected their owners' identities. It showed the world that a pickup could be both functional and expressive, and it paved the way for the lifestyle trucks we have today. In doing so, it carved out a unique chapter in automotive history, one that's still being written by the fans, restorers, and drivers who keep these trucks alive. So, what can we take away from the story of the 1972 Dodge D-Series? That great design endures. That honest engineering always matters. That a machine built with purpose can become something much bigger than the sum of its parts. The D-Series didn't just help build America, it became part of the very culture it served. If you enjoyed this ride through the history of an American classic, be sure to share the video and help keep the legacy alive. Leave a comment below with your own D-Series stories, whether it was the first truck you drove, one your family owned, or a restoration project you poured your soul into. And if you're craving more vintage truck content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more stories from the golden age of American iron just waiting to be told. Let's keep the engines running and the memories alive, together.